Welcome, everyone. My name is Brian Keys, and this is Around Town brought to you by the Laurel Board of Trade. Our goal each month is to highlight local business establishments that are members of the Laurel Board of Trade, as well as different activities that the Laurel Board of Trade sponsors. Our guest today is Freddie Kova of American Bankshares Mortgage. Freddie is a native of Venezuela, has over 20 years of experience in the residential mortgage industry, and one of the reasons I'm happy to be sitting here with you today. So Freddie, give us a brief summary of your background and American Bankshares Mortgage.
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for the invitation. I love to be here with you and sharing this time. About my background, well, I came to this country around 22 years ago. And the reason why I get into the business was when I bought my first house, I found myself, that when I settled my property, I didn't know what I did. So I didn't know anything about the process I went into. And I feel like I probably get into the largest investment in my lifetime at that moment, and I didn't know what I did. So one person told me, are you in the move to get into the industry, learn what you just did, and teach people? And I said yes. And 20 years ago, I took the challenger to learn this financial business, and I'm happy to help people from everywhere in the area, specifically in Laurel, to achieve their home, the home dream, the dream coming true. Working with American Bankshares Mortgage was, trying to fit our profile with the best company that understand the needs of our first-time home buyers and our communities. That means we say minorities. We work a lot with minorities communities to help them to achieve the dream to buy the first home or to become investors, in the business. So American Bankshares is a company that is located in Miami. The owners are Cuban Americans, and that helps us a lot for them to understand the culture of the business in the metropolitan area and about the communities that we take or embrace.
That's cool. What makes American Bankshares Mortgage such a reliable lender for our area?
Our experience. American Bankshares have developed the products, and they have given us the tools, to be able to underwrite and to approve loans for people that they have no the same background as buyers, like other people with more deepest history on credit, job, etc. We can work with young people that doesn't have the experience, managing their credit or having large experience working. We can manage to give them the opportunity to buy a house.
What kind of analogy can you give us when you qualify a potential buyer?
Okay, the first thing that you have to do as a buyer, if you want to buy a house, is you need to be qualified. Qualification is for free. Nobody can charge you to qualify, So my analogy that I have been used for the last 20 years is a pizza. I get a medium pizza, and I divide the pizza in 4 slices. I got proportions in the same size because every single aspect is important. So my first slide is credit. Why we look in credit? We look that the person has an established credit with a simple history about the way that they manage their credit, they manage their credit card balances, their monthly payments, and the punctuality on their payments, So barely we try to find at least 12 months of credit history, The second slide is the income and job history. Why? Because we need to know if that person is buying the property will be able to repay the debt. So income-wise is important because we need to know the impact of the housing payment against the income we are using to qualify, That's something they name debt to income, but I don't want to get so deep on that. It's just how much money I can afford in the housing payment, so I get it from the income. And job history, because we want stable people. We want to show the lender that is going to take the risk to give you the money that you are a person that you're stable in your job, you have at least 2 years in the same line of work and the same company preferably, okay? So we say this is the second slice. So the first one, credit, the second one is income and job history. The third slice is, is assets,
Okay.
savings. We need to show that the person has the funds available to put the down payment and cover the closing costs, okay? And more important than that is what we say the reserve. So when a person buy a house and put the money to the down payment and closing costs, they probably run out of money. Mm-hmm. So as a lender, you want to see that that person at least has 2 months on reserve, okay? So we need to show money in the account.
Okay.
So when we want to buy, we have to have credit, job, income,
And then we're in the fourth
and
one.
assets.
Okay.
And the last aspect is the rent history. The most similar payment history that you can have before buying a house is the rental. If you have a record of payment and rental and then a very good stand, you can show at least that you have a discipline to make monthly payments for your house payment. That is the analogy I use. So those 4 slices determine if you qualify or not.
Okay. A pizza.
A pizza, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Simple like that. Well, you can make it a different way. You can put up whatever, no?
Okay. Yeah. A jar of pickles.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. How can you help first-time home buyers and investors qualify for a loan?
Okay, first-time home buyers are every buyer is is unique. Okay, so you can qualify a first-time home buyer based on what I told you before. Okay, you have to see his credit, and you have to find his income and job history. So as a first-time home buyer, you always try to give the borrower what he really can afford, okay? So you have to be more conscious about the program and the product that you offer those people, because you need to give more guidance. It's the first investment they are doing, okay?
'Cause I think a lot of people would come out and they notice, if a house, they can afford a $300,000 house on paper, doesn't necessarily mean that they could afford a $300,000 house.
Exactly. That means so many times people in the documentation, they show we can qualify them for X amount of money. However, I always ask my borrowers, what is the amount that you feel into your budget that you can really afford to make the monthly payment without getting in trouble to pay? So more than qualifying, you have to know the person. You have to get into their skin in order to know exactly what they want. Because sometimes they don't know what they're doing. You know, if you don't give the appropriate guidance, they probably make mistakes.
And one of the things that I've noticed is that when they come into the office, there's more apprehension than anything else. So you try to tell your customers to try to be real personal with me.
Well,
although I'm a stranger.
Well, remember,
Yeah.
It's like when you go to the doctor, okay, and the doctors have to touch you.
Yeah, you got to touch me.
Yeah, but we don't touch people, okay? We just talk to people. We try to find the truth about everything, because when you are an architect, you have to recreate an X scenario in order to fit that person into the X scenario where they can possibly get approved in an amount of money that is not a car payment. It's a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. So you have to really, really get into the people and ask the question that you need to know. I always told my clients, you need to be confident. You need to give me the whole
All the
history.
information, yeah.
You have, I can know move forward. And if we go ahead in the process and then we find out something that you didn't disclose at the beginning, it can kill the loan. Yeah. Okay? So when you talk about investors, it's a different approach. Investors are people that have more experience buying houses. They know what they want to do. Some of them want to create property management. Some of them want to flip houses. So depending the approach, depending what they want, we can realize what kind of product you can give them. But it's easier to work with investors that work with first-time home buyers.
Okay. What's the difference between, I've always wondered this, what's the difference between the FHA and a conventional loan?
Well, the first thing that you have to say is there are so many products.
Yes.
Okay. You have government loans, and government loans are loans not made by the government, are insurance by the government. Okay. So you still have private lenders producing those loans, but they have to be insured by HUD. Okay. So you have FHA loan, which is Federal Housing Administration. You have VA, which is Veteran Affairs. You have USDA, that is the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Okay, those are the three programs from the government that you apply for people who qualify. FHA is a very flexible loan that is no score driven. So a person with a low score and no a deep history of credit, with low income, they can qualify, okay, for loans with less requirements than people who try to qualify with private loans like conventional loans, okay? So when do you use FHA loans? You use FHA loans when a person is a first-time home buyer, maybe when the person have a low score, maybe when the person came 3 years ago from a hardship situation, they lost their house with a foreclosure. So FHA is more flexible, accepting those kind of
more forgiving
borrowers and the waiting periods of forgiveness, okay? Conventional loans are a little bit different. They are granted by Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, okay? And what they do is they request a little bit higher down payment, okay? The income to qualify is different than the FHA. You have more rigorous indicators to calculate the income, and the maximum income that you can use is lower than the maximum income you can use in FHA, okay? So who is more qualified to get a conventional loan? A person with a good income and with a high credit score, because the difference between conventional and FHA is that conventional are driven by its credit score. So the lowest the credit, the higher the rate, okay? So I can give a rate as low to a person with a 640 with FHA, talking about credit score, but I cannot give the same rate to a person with 640 in a conventional loan because he have to pay a lot for that rate. So conventional, the highest the score, the highest the lowest the rate. Okay? And you have to be better qualified. You have to have more income, you have to have more assets, and all the stuff.
Okay. How can American Bankshares Mortgage help customers with low resources?
Okay. Every single state and county, they have developed programs, the name DPA, CDA, in English, down payment assistance, closing close and down payment assistance, 100% loans, etc. So American Bankshares, understanding this process, has been enrolled on these programs, okay? So we are able to offer to the community, specifically in Laurel, all the kind of program that they need in order to qualify with low resources.
Thank you so much for stopping in, and I'm sure I'll see you at the office. If you need to reach out to Freddie, Fred Kova, what's the telephone number for you?
Well, Freddie Kova can be reached at 202-469-1563. Again, 202-469-1563. And it's been a pleasure sharing this time with you, and let American Bankshares Mortgage, share with the people of Laurel, okay? We are from Laurel, and we want to help people from Laurel.
Thanks, Freddie. Stay tuned for our next guest.
For history, entertainment, great shopping and dining, Laurel's historic downtown Main Street is where you'll find it. The iconic Laurel Railroad Station is an important part of the community that preserves Laurel history. Catch a glimpse of both the historic train stop on the east end and the mill houses on the west end during the Laurel Walking Tour. And be sure to stop at the Laurel Museum, which is open for tours. Every May, large crowds fill downtown Laurel for the popular Main Street Festival. Great food, music, and even greater company are what guests come back to year after year. However, Main Street is something to be enjoyed every day of the year. With numerous boutiques and gift shops, that won't be hard to do. Stroll down Laurel's historic Main Street and discover the heart of the community.
Hey, welcome back. Please welcome our next guests today, and they are Rishma and Laird Bourne of 1-800 Damage. I've seen Rishma all over Laurel. Any kind of event that goes on, she pops up, I pop up, we start talking. And then I saw your husband at Main Street Festival. That's the first time I met your husband. Rishma and Laird, tell us about yourselves and how did you choose this industry?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Brian, for having us, Brian. This is actually, I love Laurel, so that's why it's very easy for me to when I hear something, I was like, I'm there. So yes, that's a little bit about us. We're actually a husband and wife team. So.
Yeah, well, for me, I actually love the Weather Channel, and by looking at the Weather Channel, you see so many disasters. But at the same time, you also have a lot of sad feelings, not necessarily pity, but you want to help those who are affected by these disasters. So whenever I saw a hurricane or something of that nature, I see the issues that it caused. I always felt, that need to go and help.
Okay.
So this is why I actually ventured into the water damage section.
Which leads me into what kind of business is 1-800 Damage?
Well, in 1-800 Damage, what we do is that we remediate issues that are caused by water. Say, for instance, you have an overflowing sink, it falls on the floor, it damages the floor, subsequently it drains all the way to the floor beneath that. Issues that you can encounter after that is you have mold growing. So that becomes an issue because, everyone knows the issues that mold causes, respiratory issues. So it reaches so many different aspects of someone's life, especially, especially for homeowners. The wife especially, she's home and everything is now in disarray and she's panicking, not knowing what to do, how to get the home back to where it was before. So this is where we can come in and do everything that we need to do in a professional manner.
So we are a 24/7 emergency restoration company that comes in when, we're like the 911 to your home, to your property, and we are the ones you don't really want to see coming, but you'll be glad you have our number, because if your sump pump fails and you have that flood going on, you definitely need somebody to come in and save your largest investment. Mm-hmm. At that point, most of us, our homes are our largest investments, and you want to save it as much as soon as possible the minute you encounter a disaster.
Okay.
And if you don't give a call immediately, of course, you can turn your emergency that could have been fixed and covered by the insurance companies into a mold situation that you may have to take care of yourself. So what 1-800 Damage does is basically we come and take care of everything the water can cause, the damage that water can cause.
To your home.
To your home.
Okay.
And we do, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go, keep finishing.
Yeah, because we do residentials and commercial properties as well. And we are part of Balfour. We are like the little brother to Balfour, and they're an international emergency restoration company.
Now, I know you for Laurel, but how wide is your territory? How far do you get out there?
Yeah, we cover all of Maryland right now. And in the event, you have issues in Philadelphia or even North Carolina, we also respond to there. Mm-hmm. So it's basically limitless.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
It's all
because it
over.
is a national franchise, and however, if our legal territory is right here in Maryland, but on a national level, we can be pulled in anytime a national disaster comes.
Oh, okay.
So, and like recently, we have responded to Hurricane Michael in Panama City, and we have also responded to Hurricane Florence in North Carolina. So it can take us anywhere, but our local market, our local office is located here in Maryland.
Okay, now I'm a little bit off of the current hurricane situation, so you may have to fill me in on that. But we had a little conversation before, but what major disasters have you encountered lately? What have you done so far?
Oh yeah, I actually mentioned Hurricane Florence and Hurricane Michael.
And you went to Florida for that?
Yes, we did. We went both to North Carolina and to Florida as well.
Yeah.
Okay, how many offices? So are you the main office for, are you the only office in the state of Maryland?
Right now we are, yes.
Okay, so you're pulled anywhere something happens.
Yes.
Yes. Now, hurricane, on a national disaster level, as in hurricane level, that was Hurricane Michael and Florence for last year. However, we also responded to the water main break in Philadelphia. I'm not, in downtown Philadelphia.
Okay.
They had this major water pipe burst right in the middle of Philadelphia, and all the businesses there were affected. And we had to pull out, and and in this business you have to work fast because you're trying to save people's property, so you have to go fast. And yeah, you can encounter 4 feet of water, 6 feet of water. That's where you start. So it differs, like from hurricane to other national disasters.
What have you learned from these disasters? What have you learned personally from, Hurricane Michael?
Well, for me, whenever I encounter my fellow colleagues or fellow owners, what we speak about mainly is how we helped someone. It's always about, what issue did you encounter and how were you able to set that homeowner at peace? Because they're coming back home and they're super frustrated. They don't know what to do, if they should just give up and walk away. What type of health issues there will be, the risks of staying in the home. Will the home be declared a total loss by the insurance companies? And by going there and being able to assess the damage and then give them a plan of action and tell them what we can do to mitigate the issue and actually have something for them in place that they can come back and say, hey, you know what? This sounds good. This gives me a point whereby I can come back and restore my life. And that's what we speak about. How can we help this person morally?
Yeah, for me, I personally realize that it depends on the territory. Like a lot of times, and for instance, in Panama City, a lot of homeowners they were covered. And when it came to North Carolina, the difference between those two is that most people did not have flood coverage. So what I've learned is that it's also very important to inform homeowners or educate people outside of hurricanes and disasters, which is part of what we want to do as a community, to inform people to be ready for these disasters, because they will come when you least expect them. So what I take away from the disasters is having to know when people are covered or not. And a lot of people in North Carolina did not have flood coverage, which makes it hard to even help.
You would think, well, being in Panama City and in Florida, that's more of a flood, so you're more prepared. I guess North Carolina was just out of the blue for a lot of people.
Yes.
I wouldn't think of having flood insurance at my house, living around here, but eventually something like that can happen.
Yes, it can.
So the important thing is to make sure you know your policy, know to plan. And that's where we can come in and make life even easier for, trying to get you back on track as soon as possible, to get your life back to, as soon as possible, bring everything back to normalcy, because having to see homeowners in distress, because that's their biggest investment. And, they're now really, like Lear mentioned, you come in as the company that has the equipment, you have the know-how, and know how to put back stuff, bring back a normalcy for them. But having to deal with that emotional side that people deal with, it's in our business. It's like, yes, we come in with the tools. We also have to deal with the emotional side of the homeowners, and especially the women who have all these emotional ties and, to your property and your contents. At that time, you lose all of that in 1 minute, and you now have to think about your future. How
Starting
am I
all
moving?
over again.
Yeah, how
Oh,
am
yeah.
I moving on from here?
Okay, all right. And it sounds like a very gracious job. You get into the murky waters of it, but at the end of the day, you clean things up and have people feel satisfied at the end of, you know what I mean? You're hugging that person, and I never really thought of it the way you're showing me today. Saying that, what deep satisfaction do you get from the industry?
Well,
What do you take home at the end of the day?
for me, is that I was able to help.
Yeah.
I might not be a fireman that's going in there and rescuing someone from drowning. I might not be the police officer, that's safeguarding a major retail store area from burglary. But to be able to go in, there was water damage, you break open a wall, you may think there's nothing wrong, but when you break it open and you see that mold, and you're like, hey, you know what? I have the equipment, I have the tools, I have the personal protective gear for myself and my team, and we can take care of this for the homeowner. We're able to help in that sense that they can come back and actually live in this home. And that's the satisfaction for me.
That's good.
Well, for me, it's being able, like anybody can sell a product, right? You just go and, the reason we chose this business is the main fact that we want to help. And as a husband and wife, we have that in common, that our desire is to help somebody. Now, what better way to make a living and be able to help people? Yes, it is a business, but the satisfaction is I can step in and make a difference. I can come here, and while you're in distress, I can say, I know what to do. I can get you back. And that there's no better feeling to be able to walk into somebody's life while they're in disarray. Everything's chaotic. You don't know what your next day looks like. And I can come in and say, ma'am or sir, we got this. You just have to just give us a little, a few days, and you will be back to where you need to be.
And this seems like a huge project. How big is your team?
It varies. For small jobs, you might only need one person, but for larger jobs, especially a commercial job, you might need 10 to 15. So in this case, this is where Big Brother comes in, where we can easily, call into Belfour and they send us the necessary manpower.
Okay.
Yes.
And you guys get in there and get your hands dirty?
Oh,
as well?
absolutely. I love it.
Don't let the nails fool you.
Oh, yes.
Don't let the nails fool you. We can tear down walls, and
Oh, yeah.
with this white collar shirt today could easily turn into construction and
Attire, yeah. Oh,
and we can
absolutely.
demolish. We can come and demo your place.
I definitely learned something new from you guys today. I did. No joke. Thank you. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
Our pleasure.
Well, that's all for now. Would you like to be on the show and talk about your business? This is one of the perks, many benefits available to members of the Laurel Board of Trade. To find out more, contact Maureen Rogers at the Laurel Board of Trade at 301-483-0838. Laurel Board of Trade, 383 Main Street, Laurel, Maryland, 20707. And the email is laurelboardoftrade383 @gmail.com. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.